The Stations of the Cross is a centuries-old 14-step Christian devotion that commemorates Jesus Christ's last day on earth as a man. The 14 devotions, or stations, focus on specific events of his last day, beginning with his condemnation. The stations are commonly used as a mini pilgrimage as the individual moves from station to station. Each station is usually a small icon or image. At each station, the individual recalls and meditates on a specific event from Christ's last day. It has been a St. Matthew's tradition to hold a devotional service of the Stations of the Cross on Good Friday each year. For many years, it was led by Shirley and Mark Hopkins. In memory of Shirley's life, this year, Nancy and Terry Lentz are offering you a chance to participate remotely. And may we all be able to continue this tradition in person in years to come.
Jesus is condemned to death. This is the way it was. There he stands, the young Galilean prophet, beside Pilate in the balcony of the Praetorian. In the night just past, he has suffered betrayal. He's been dragged from one tribunal to another. He's been insulted, slapped, and spit upon. Most recently, he has been stripped, bound to a column, and flogged by 2 legionaries, each wielding a set of thongs weighted at the ends with pieces of lead. His flesh torn, his blood soaking through the purple cloak they put on him, the long thorns of mockery digging into his head. His face streaked with blood and spit, he stands. Pilate has evidently hoped to arouse the pity of the people. Gesturing toward his prisoner, he says, "Behold the man." But the mob, incited by the chief priests and their henchmen, are howling like souls in hell. "Crucify him! Crucify him! May his blood be upon us and our children." Pilate is washing his hands. Now he nods to his lieutenant and gives the order to remove the prisoner. It is the death sentence.
Condemned to death? But Pilate said he couldn't find any fault with him. He didn't do anything wrong. He is innocent. What a senseless miscarriage of justice. He just stands there, looking out over the crowd of people. He's turning towards me. He's looking right at me. He's seeing inside me, seeing me as I really am. What sadness is in his eyes. Oh, yes, meek and silent man of sorrows, how far I have gone from you. I, who hold a grudge for the slightest reason. I, who have a heart seething with jealousy and bitterness. I, who get angry and hate at the least provocation. I cannot face your look of total love and forgiveness. I understand now. How many times have I knowingly or unknowingly added my voice to the crowd's chorus of "Crucify him"? I am the reason you must die. Have mercy on me, Lord, and heal me by the merits of your love and obedience.
Jesus takes his cross. This is the way it was. The Roman centurion gives his orders, and the legionaries assigned to the task begin. They tear off the purple cloak which has stuck to Jesus' wounds. He shudders deeply. The soldiers replace his own clothing, which quickly becomes stained with blood. The men come with the crosspiece of the infamous instrument of Roman justice, the cross. As they place it on the shoulder of the condemned, he staggers under its weight and takes hold of the rough timber to steady the burden. 2 legionaries take the ends of long ropes bound around his waist. Should he show any sign of falling back, they will drag him on. But this prisoner seems almost eager to proceed. Headed by the mounted centurion, the column comes out of the Praetorian, and the death march begins.
Yes, Jesus, in your love for sinners like me, you clasped the cross almost passionately. All through your life on earth, you took the hard way, out of love for others. In your public life, you walk the roads, sweating through the desert summer, shivering in the winter, with no place to lay your head. And now you go willingly to meet this hard death for love of me. And me? For love of self, I treat myself to the very best, always concerned with my own comfort, a nice house, car, the nicest clothes, stuffing myself with good food. And all the while, around the world, others are dying of starvation, living in tents at refugee camps, and yes, even here in my own land of freedom. And when something threatens my self-satisfaction, I reach for still another glass of wine or beer, for one more antidepressant or painkiller, to shackle my conscience and cloud my mind, to help me get through my problems. Forgive me, Lord, and heal my sins by the merits of your pain and sacrifice.
Jesus falls the first time. This is the way it was. Even though it's late in the morning by now, only patches of sunlight fall into this narrow street between tall houses. The stink of the place is almost overpowering. It's a good thing the way to Golgotha is not long, or this man in his pitiful condition would die before he got there. The back and shoulders are a mass of raw wounds from the flogging, and with each slow and painful step, these wounds open even more. The rough wood of the cross bites deep into the flesh. A patch of blood flows from his shoulders and stains the back of his robe. He stumbles on the uneven paving. Unable to regain his balance, under the weight of the cross he goes down on his knees in the filthy roadway.
You, my Lord and my God, in your weakness and blur of pain, fall in the filth and garbage of the road to ransom me. How often have I muddied the mind you created with reading senseless novels and magazines, watching hours of television shows and movies, of wasting valuable time when I could study your word and connect with you. How many times have I desecrated this body of mine, which you made clean and sacred to your service, by my overeating, smoking, drinking, being lazy and inactive. And every time I do these things and more, I mock you with my faithlessness and jeer as you stagger and fall. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Help me and rescue me from my weaknesses, for without you I shall burn for eternity. Save me, my God, save me.
Jesus meets his mother, and this is the way it was. The soldiers, in their red tunics and glittering helmets, keep the crowd pressed back against the walls, out of the way. Surely, not all the crowd are curious followers of public executions. Surely some are friends and secret sympathizers, but are silent out of fear of the chief priests and their spies. But now a woman steps out into the street. A woman of the poorer classes in her mid-40s, but a woman of such dignity and such modest loveliness, even in her terrible grief, it's no wonder the centurion pauses for her to greet the prisoner. The rumor goes through the crowd. She is his mother. As she gazes at the pain-racked body, the bloodied nose, the swollen lips, the thorn-gashed brow, she turns white. These two look deeply into each other's eyes, and their arms reach out, one for the other. But the centurion is anxious to finish his work without incident, and with rough courtesy, he hurries her away.
In the midst of your anguish, your love still sustains her, while her mother's love for you makes an agony of her longing to help. Your obedience to the Father, your understanding of what has to be done, helps both of you get through this nightmare. How different I am in my treatment of even those closest to me. How often do I think to say, "You look tired, let me help. Let me do it for you." Or, "You seem upset and concerned. Tell me what's wrong so I can help you." Instead, I walk away saying, "I need some time for myself. I'm tired too." How often do the holy words of love well up in my heart to make themselves known to those I love, yet I don't take the opportunity to voice them, and then it's too late. And how do I respond to those holy words spoken to me? All too often with suspicion and doubt, questioning the reason for the words being spoken. Love can hurt so much. Only the real strong person can afford to feel it, be gentle, to be tender, to reach out to others with love. Your love for us makes us willing to love others. Jesus, my Lord, teach me to be strong and gentle with your strength, with your love.
The Cyrenian is made to help Jesus. This is the way it was. We're at the gate of the city now. The procession is moving more and more slowly. Each step that Jesus takes calls forth an agonizing effort, straining the weary muscles, wounding still more the cut and bleeding feet. The great timber with its rough-hewn surface has ground deeply into his shoulder. He slips in the filth of the street and sways, almost fainting from pain and loss of blood. Afraid that he will lose his prisoner to death before he can be executed, the centurion orders a man going by to take the crossbeam from the condemned and carry it for him. The people are saying the fellow's name is Simon. Well, Simon doesn't seem very enthusiastic, but he takes the cross. His hands touch the hands of the prisoner, who is looking intently into Simon's face. There's a slight pause, and clearly, in the moment of the transfer, something is happening to Simon.
How well I recognize Simon's resentment at his forced involvement. Like me, he may be a loner, with all the loner's defenses against personal encroachments. They are my defenses, rooted deep in pride. Only worry about yourself. If someone has a problem or is in trouble, that's too bad. It's probably their own fault. Or he can think he's too important to help, too busy with great works to be done. He believes he knows what should have been done. The other guy is always wrong. And if he gives you an argument, cut loose with the defenses. Insult him about his poverty, his family connections, his infirmities, anything to make yourself feel superior. He's not you. He's only a man. O Christ, instead of helping, how often have I twisted the knife in you and in my brothers? I don't know. I couldn't see you in them. Give me the look you're giving Simon. Help me, by your look, to see you everywhere.
Compassion. A woman wipes the face of Jesus. This is the way it was. We're outside the city now, and the air is better. The day is getting warmer, but it's the sweat of extreme weakness that's running down the bloody face of the condemned man. The salt stings his eyes and open cuts. Even though not burdened now by the timber of the cross, the man's terrible exhaustion and pain of his torn body threatens to bring him down. He drags himself along, not even bothering to wipe away the flies attracted by the smell of blood. Suddenly now, another woman of courage comes forward from the crowd. She steps in front of Jesus, ignoring the ringing command of the centurion, the foul language of the legionaries. Swiftly, but with great tenderness, she takes a large handkerchief and wipes the blood and sweat and dirt from the prisoner's face. The soldiers shove her out of the way, and the procession continues, leaving the woman kneeling in the dust at the side of the road.
That funny little woman with her blazing eyes and her gentle hands, that look of courage. And when she gets to work or goes home, what will the people say? Because everyone will be talking about it. They'll say a woman who's a friend of a common criminal isn't welcome in the neighborhood or shouldn't be working at the desk next to mine. They are all respectable people. They have to protect their family and friends from people like her. They'll make it rough for her, but she won't care. She loves you enough, Lord, to be loyal no matter how tough things get. Not like me. I want to be like everyone else. I want to be accepted. They need to know that my so-called Christianity doesn't keep me from joining in the fun of the crowd. Oh, no. But for the opinion of a few pitiable lost creatures, I do and say things I know I should not, ignoring the teachings of my God, and make a mockery of your love and forgiveness. Jesus, forgive me for being a moral coward. In your compassion, give me the courage to stand with you and to give you my loyalty in all things.
Jesus falls the second time, and this is the way it was. How slowly we must go now. The prisoner is so weakened that each moment it seems impossible for him to take another step. The legionaries urge him on, but they're not so brutal about it now. They're more and more afraid that he will die on the way. The curious press as close as they dare. There are always those who seem hypnotized by the torments of another. Now, as the weak and bloody man pauses and sways, there's an audible gasp from the mob. What little strength he has left is ebbing fast. He goes down on his knees, and the collective breath of the crowd issues forth in a long sigh as they push and jostle for a better view. 2 soldiers get him to his feet again. He strengthens and, oh God, he tries to square those torn shoulders and go on.
Lord, is the terrible pain you suffer in these falls your way of bearing the cost of my vanity, my vainglory, my self-satisfaction? I march through my world taking credit for everything I have, for my job and its importance, the money I make, for my beautiful, talented children, and my friends who think I am wonderful. I'm the center of it all. It all revolves around me. Lord, the thought of your humiliation for my sake makes me ashamed. For what have I got that wasn't given to me? And what have I got that I couldn't lose tomorrow, completely and utterly, so like Job in the Old Testament? And he was a good man. I would be stripped of it all. Lord, teach me by your weakness how helpless a creature I am, depending on you for all the goodness in my life.
Jesus speaks to the women of Jerusalem. This is the way it was. We've almost reached the place of the skull in the finish. But here is a little knot of women weeping and beating their breasts in lamentation. Jesus pauses to speak to them. To speak to them. Where is he getting the strength? This man's will is something beyond unbelievable. What is he saying? He calls them daughters of Jerusalem and tells them to weep for themselves and their children, not for him. He sounds like one of the old visionary prophets, talking in broken phrases about times to come when men will cry for the mountains to fall on them and the hills to cover them. He is incredible. Bone-weary indeed, half dead in his ordeal, and yet still master of himself, still responsive to the sorrows of others.
You are speaking to me, Lord, as you spoke to those weeping women. You are telling me to skip the crocodile tears of false piety and regrets for what I have done, what I will do again, and what I have not done. You are saying, pick up your cross and follow me. Follow you, Lord? Where are you going? How your answer strikes home. You tell me I am going to die. I too, Lord, am going to die. I don't like to think about this truth, but it is the truth just the same. And now, in this little moment along the way, you offer me the choice. Will I go to die following you to the end of my life, and dying have your love and your strength to cling to? How about my family, my friends, my fellow human beings? Have they accepted you? Do they even know about you? What have I done to help them, teach them, and witness to them about you? Will they be dying alone, cursing their human fate? Lord, like the daughters of Jerusalem, weeping for themselves and their children, shouldn't I at least be weeping for mankind? Oh, Christ, save me from the wrong choice.
Jesus falls a third time, and this is the way it was. We finally reached the foot of the little hill of Golgotha. Some of the people have hurried on ahead to get the best purchases among the tombs to see the final agony. They're no better than the vultures hovering up there, awaiting the final stillness of the tortured bodies. The prisoner begins the little climb haltingly, painfully. 2 legionaries haul him up by means of the long rope ends, but it's not enough. His face pressed into the dust and dirt of the road. Will he be able to get up this time? The soldiers lift the sagging, pitiable fellow to his feet. Again, the tremendous effort to command the mass of pain which is his body. They say that this was the body of a perfect man. Well, maybe so, but no more. No more.
In your weakness, Lord, you teach me to be strong. How I need your strength to sustain me. I am so tired of this constant struggle, so tired of taking care of my home and work, taking care of the kids as they grow up so they'll be okay, healthy, happy, and successful. So tired of trying to be an honest, loving person in a demanding, deceitful world. Tired of always being the one asked to volunteer to help with a parish project and feeling so guilty if I refuse. So tired, it sometimes seems as though I pour all of my effort into taking one step forward along the road with you, my brother, only to discover that I have slipped back 2 steps while I wasn't looking. How I long in my weariness just to stop and rest, just to forget everything. Yes, to forget you, Jesus, and just drift with the crowd. And then you look at me, and I can't do it. Where else is there to go? Apart from you, I am nothing. Keep me coming to you, Lord. Please keep me coming.
Jesus is stripped of his clothes, and this is the way it was. In spite of his terrible weakness, this man Jesus has climbed to the low summit of the hill. This is the beginning of the end. It's not very complicated, really. These Romans know their work. First of all, he must be stripped. Crucifixion, a fairly common punishment in these times, is intended to be degrading and humiliating in the extreme. The reactions of the body in death agony are uncontrolled. This stripping itself now is a horrible business. The fabric of his robe is stuck to his wounds, the way any bandage will stick to a sore. The soldiers are in a hurry to finish now, and they handle him brutally. It's strange that their prisoner has not fainted at the sharp, enveloping pain which must be sweeping over him like fire. But there he stands, stripped, clothed only in his own blood.
Yes, Lord, there you stand, stripped of everything for my sake. Your friends have run away. Your honor and your reputation have been made a laughingstock, and now even your clothes are torn off your body. Exposed to agony and shame, you have nothing. You are nothing. As the psalmist said of you so long ago, I am a worm, not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. Why do you accept all this, my Lord and God? To make up for my greed and selfishness? The times I thought I'd give my soul for just a little more money or time, hungered after wealth and comfort, and sworn to have it no matter what the cost, planning and working day in and day out to accomplish my goals. I run out of time and strength to work on your goals. Please, God, forgive me for this pain I've worked upon you.
Jesus is nailed to the cross, and this is the way it was. They have laid Jesus on his back at the foot of the upright beam of the cross, permanently fixed in its place. His shoulders are on the crossbeam. He has refused the drug wine which they would have given him. The executioner measures with his eye the arm's length, and setting the spike at the wrist, with one blow of the hammer drives it deep into the wood. He needs only a few good taps to fix it firmly in place. Amazingly, Jesus has not cried out, but his face is so contorted it's terrible to look at. Pain must be blazing through that hand and up his arm. Most men faint at this juncture, but not this one. He seems to have willed to remain conscious. Now the other arm is stretched out and the procedure is repeated. They lift the ends of the crossbeam and make him rise and move backward against the stake. The ropes and the pulleys are ready. With one dreadful cry, he dangles in excruciating agony from the nails in his wrists. It's the work of a moment to bend the knees, cross the feet to avoid the heels. The hard spike is driven through the feet into the lower part of the stake. Having gone through so much already, he must now suffer the fullest torture.
The Lord of the Cross, the bed of agony. Rest well upon your chosen bed, my Lord. I too have made my choice, and it isn't yours. My bed is king size, warm and comfortable. I clothe my body in the nicest clothes, fitted just for me, and live in a house with all the latest comforts and luxury. Don't talk to me of the need of charity, of those who waste away to death from malnutrition, for lack of food or medications, or who have lost limbs due to sickness, accidents, who have given themselves to protect my freedom. Nightmares best forgotten. Don't mention the cries of sickly orphan children in the bombed-out wrecks of their homes, cries multiplied 1,000 times around the world. Above all, don't make me look at you upon that tree. You, the King of all poor in spirit. Don't make me listen to you, dying for love and saying, you must love these my little ones as I have loved you. I can't do it on my own. Lord, please help me.
Jesus dies on the cross, and this is the way it was. It's now almost the middle of the afternoon. It was around noon when they lifted him up. Very soon after that, the terrible thirst began, and it continued. He refused the sour wine offered in a sponge. The frightful cramping in the muscles began. His biceps became strained and distended, his fingers grotesquely angled. On his legs and thighs, the muscles formed rigid bulges. The horrible spasms became generalized. The stomach muscles tightened agonizingly. The sides, the chest, the neck, all were involved. His face turned blue, and we knew he was asphyxiating, that his lungs were loaded with air that he could not exhale. His eyes rolled back, and we thought it was the end. But no, with superhuman effort, he lifted his body by pressing against the nails through his feet. Gradually, the chest muscles relaxed, enough for him to get his breath. And then he spoke, praying for forgiveness for his executioners. Several times he has stayed this asphyxiating death with an effort of blazing agony. And each time he has spoken. His mother's been standing by his cross from the first, and he knew it. He has given her into the care of the only disciple to stand there with her. The sky is darkened and the air hangs heavy and foreboding. The crowd is silent and uneasy. I can hear the bleating of the Passover lambs being readied for slaughter inside the city. The crucified gasps, "It is completed." And now with a final struggle, the loud cry, "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit."
I come before you, crucified lover of all men, and I am shamed and burdened under the weight of my sin. I have so often nailed you to the cross and left you there to die. I have driven the nails of my materialism and self-indulgence, my gossiping, lying, and angry language through your hands and feet. I have made a mockery of your selfless love, O Lord, with my greed, my selfishness, my pride. I am unable to keep your commandments. O Christ, what will become of me? Where can I hide my shame from your sorrowful glance? Wherever I go, you are there. Dear God, don't forsake me. Only you can save me. Reach out your nail-pierced hand and touch me, cleanse me, free me from my sins.
Jesus' body is held by Mary, and this is the way it was. It is over. The sky is blacker than ever, and the very ground shudders, and the rocks crack. The centurion looks around in wonder at these signs, and then at the tattered human remnant hanging on the cross. And the sardonic Roman face suddenly lights up with the understanding. He declares, "Truly, this was the Son of God." Another soldier comes up to plunge his lance into the dead man's side. And now it's necessary to act in haste. The dead body must not hang longer, lest it defile the great Sabbath, which will begin soon. One Joseph of Arimathea, a man of consequences, has gone to Pilate to request the body. A few of Jesus' followers have come to take him down. It's not hard. They remove the nails out of the wrists, and now they place the stiffening body in the arms of his mother. Seated on the rocks, she receives it with the profoundest grief, her silent tears falling like rain upon the lifeless face.
Jesus gave his all in total love for me. Don't let all this pain and sorrow be for nothing. I heard the broken words, "Father, forgive them." Forgive me, Lord, and teach me to carry my cross with love, willingly. Then I will find you walking with me, carrying more than half the load in holy fellowship, and I will never walk alone.
Jesus is laid in the tomb, and this is the way it was. The final act is short. Joseph of Arimathea returns quickly with the governor's permission and with a beautiful white shroud. With him is Nicodemus, bringing myrrh and aloe for the wrapping of the body. Close at hand is Joseph's brand new sepulchre, and he has given it for the burial of the crucified one. What little light is left is fading fast. They must hurry. These friends arrange the body and bind it in the linen shroud and reverently place it in the tomb. Someone removes the wedge that holds the heavy stone. The stone rolls forward and closes the tomb. Now they are all going away, and the place is left empty and silent.
Empty and silent, Golgotha now. Empty and silent, too, has been my heart to a life in you. Lord, raise me to a life in you. Help me to live my life in union with you. Banish the resistance of my heart to the quiet knocking of your love. Help me begin the real fulfillment of my life, walking with my hand in yours. Help me to fulfill your command. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Let us pray. Agony, death, and burial, how final it sounds, like the triple tolling of the bell of doom. You never mentioned these things during your life on earth, Lord, without speaking of a fourth, your resurrection into glory. And you promised the same for us too, if we believed in you and believing took up the cross and followed you. This is your mystery, held out to us to share if we will only follow in faith, hope, and love. We believe you are the way, the truth, and the life. We trust in your love for us because you proved it on the cross. And we trust in your word because you are God's word made flesh. We want to begin to love you and to give you the only thing that is truly ours to give, the total gift of self, a gift that can only be given in love. We know the road is hard and that we're not very brave. And so we ask you humbly to be with us on the road. Lord, please help us and bring us finally to the dawn of resurrection. Amen.